The Sea of Galilee. Today, this part of Israel is full of tourists going to the beach or spending a day sightseeing. However, when Jesus was on the earth, over 2,000 years ago, the shores of this sea were full of people working to make a living, including fishermen. Jesus chose 4 men straight from these shores to do more than catch fish. They were going to become fishers of men. Measuring just 8 miles wide and 12 miles from top to bottom, the Sea of Galilee is a very large lake, also called the Lake of Gennesaret. Sitting at about 700 feet below sea level, it's surrounded by tall hills that tower 1,000 feet over the surface of the water, making it the lowest freshwater lake in the world. It's a beautiful place. Peaceful shores, golden sunsets. It was the center of life in the region during Jesus' day. And a big part of that life on the Sea of Galilee was fishing. Fishing 2,000 years ago probably looked very different from how you might picture fishing today. It was a hard job that often required fishermen to be out all night in their boats with their nets. Then, in the morning, they would sit on the shore and mend the holes in their nets to get ready for another night of fishing. Fishing was such a big business. In the town of Magdala, archaeologists have discovered a fishery and special tanks for holding fresh fish in the marketplace. In Matthew chapter 4, we read about Jesus walking on the shore and observing the fishermen working. He calls his first 2 disciples, Peter and his brother Andrew, to follow him. Jesus was from Galilee, and Peter and Andrew lived in the small town of Capernaum, right on the shore of the sea. Since Jesus grew up in Galilee and spent most of his life there, it makes sense that he would start there when looking for disciples to follow him. In that chapter, it says Peter and Andrew were casting a net into the sea. We don't cast many nets today, so what would that have looked like? On a trip to Israel, I got to see how a net, similar to the one the disciples might have used, is cast. It was interesting to see because it's very different from using a fishing pole.
1, 2, and...
One thing we can learn from this story is how the men reacted when Jesus asked them to come and follow him. It says they immediately left their nets and followed Jesus. Jesus had big plans for Peter, Andrew, and the other fishermen that he called to follow him that day, James and John. These men were going to work with Jesus to teach, and after Jesus left earth at the end of his ministry, these men would play a big role in helping to establish the Lord's church. They were excited to follow Jesus and went with him willingly. Fishermen weren't well-educated men. They didn't have a lot of influence with people in society. Why do you think Jesus would choose uneducated fishermen to help him with this work? He knew they would work hard, just like they had worked hard fishing. Just like Peter, Andrew, James, and John, we need to be working hard for God. And even more, these fishermen left everything to follow Jesus. And we need to be willing to follow Jesus no matter what we have to leave behind. We all need to be fishers of men, to go out into the world, to share God's word and bring people to Jesus.